Give us a little bit of introduction of yourself.
Perfect. Dinesh, first of all, thank you for bringing me into this program. It's a privilege to talk to you and to be a part of this program. So I'm Srinivasan Hariharan. People call me Srini. So I'm from Chennai, India. Did my engineering here in India. I'm a by education, and I did my master's from Chennai. And I've been working with Bahwan CyberTek, which is called as BCT, the Bahwan CyberTek Group, for the last about 13 years. And because I'm a chemical engineer, I initially started off working for a large oil and gas company out of India. Spent a lot of time understanding the operations, distribution, and marketing of oil and gas before I switched gears, like a lot of people do, right? So, and then started with Bahwan CyberTek Group. Right now, I'm based out of the US. Out of the Southeast, I manage the business for the South of Americas for US. It's been a pleasure working for this company, and looking forward to this interview.
BCT Digital, what space do you operate in?
We are in the digital transformation space. BCT stands for BCT. It's a part of a very large Middle Eastern conglomerate called the Suhail Bahwan Group. Ms. Hind Bahwan is our chairperson, and Mr. Durga Prasad, whom we call very fondly as DP, he's our founder and co-founder and CEO. So BCT is into digital transformation. We work with large corporations globally to drive their digital transformation journeys.
Okay, talk about some of the products that you have developed in the recent past.
Absolutely. So BCT is a very unique combination of services and solutions, and like several IT transformation companies, we provide services across the board for multiple verticals and horizontals from an IT standpoint, both software and hardware. Coming to the products, you probably would not find too many companies that provide services as well as products. So, but we are in that wonderful quadrant, I would say. So from a product standpoint, we have solutions that provide predictive analytics and data-driven insights across multiple verticals. For example, banking and financial services, we have a solution that enables banks to identify potential defaulters. We have a solution that's called as RT360. We have a product platform which is for the utilities and oil and gas companies to identify assets which could potentially have a downtime. Again, predictive analytics-based solution. We also have a fantastic solution for capturing experience of customers, employees, stakeholders across an enterprise, across an ecosystem. That is called as Dropbot. And we also have a very, very good solution for the oil and gas downstream called Fuel Trans. So as I said, the philosophy in the company is to provide the solutions or services, and both to enable clients to move across their organization and to accelerate their digital transformation.
Okay. I understand you have developed an early warning system for banks. Given the stress that banks are going through, can you talk a little bit about this product and how you plan to market it in Sri Lanka?
Absolutely. So, around the 2014-15 timeframe, the RBI in India rightly found that the NPAs for the banks, the non-performing assets for the banks, are increasing. So they laid out a mandate to the large banks in India to find a solution that would enable them to predictively, proactively identify potential defaulters. Not just identifying potential defaulters, but also to find potential default enabling activities through technology solutions. And that is when we started looking into this space, and we developed this solution called RT360, which is a platform, and RT stands for regulatory technology, and that is typically for the financial services. Under that, we have different solutions. One is the early warning system, like you rightly said, which we call as the EWS. So what the EWS does is, so typically in a bank, you have several internal systems. For example, you have a loan origination system, you have a treasury system, you have a core banking system, and so on. So the credit analysts in the bank, they are basically tasked with monitoring, measuring, and governing the overall repayments of their customers, whether they repay on time or not, where is the potential default happening, and so on and so forth. But the problem is these credit analysts, they have several portfolio accounts to kind of manage. So it's very difficult for them to actually find out, where there is a problem that's happening. So what we did was we created this early warning system that basically extracts data from all the internal systems of the bank. And not just with that, it also looks into the data that is available in the market, for example, from aggregators. Potential company is performing, how is their management doing? For example, if the bank has provided a loan to a copper mining company, it is not just enough to know whether this company is paying their loans properly or not, servicing their loans properly or not, but we also go into data aggregators to find out what is happening in the copper mining market. What is going to happen in future? What is going to be the potential balance sheet of this company? Look into the annual reports and so on and so forth. Get a lot of external data, marry that with internal data, and create a matrix of parameters, which we call as the early warning system parameters. We have so far mapped about 180 to 190 different parameters. And then putting all these parameters together, we come up with a composite EWS score. For example, if you have, let's say, 3,000 customers, you have a composite EWS score for all the 3,000 customers. And if I'm a credit analyst in the bank, then I start focusing on those customers whose risk is the highest, instead of looking at all the accounts, right? So we provide an advisory-based system that could enable the bank to identify potential defaulters. And it is not just looking at whether they are servicing the loan properly or not. It's also looking at other things like potential fund diversions and so on and so forth. We work with close to about 6-7 very large banks. For example, Bank of India, Union Bank of India. These banks have several branches. So I think today cover close to about 25,000 different branches in India, and providing this kind of a system for these banks. As far as Sri Lanka is concerned, it's always been an area that we wanted to venture into. And looking at what's happening in Sri Lanka, I think solution can be a potential solution to help the bank. And we are looking forward to meeting with the right people there and taking this solution across.
Okay, your product is more effective in wholesale banking, or
I think it's a combination of both retail and wholesale banking. But we find a need for both trade finance related operations as well as the retailing customers. So it's a combination of both.
Okay, can this also be married with the key account management system of a bank?
It can be. So you can integrate this with the key account management system or a CRM system that is in the bank, so that you have a single source of truth.
Okay. You talked about some of your clients. Just tell us how effective this product has been for them and how they're making use of it.
So two drivers for these banks to go for a solution like ours. One, as I said, there is a mandate from the RBI. The second thing is when they look at this kind of system, what is most important is the kind of architecture by which you have developed this system. You need to have an open architecture because, as you rightly said, there are several systems in a bank, right? So we are not going to replace any of those systems. But many of these banks, if you see, these systems are siloed. They are in disparate spaces. You need a system that could, like ours, which could open API that could integrate multiple systems together. And that has been the biggest advantage for us. And that is the reason why close to 7 out of the 9 banks which have actually taken up this kind of an initiative have actually gone up with BCT's early warning system. So because of the experience that we have and because of the fact that we are working with some very, very large banks, we believe that we can add value to the market in Sri Lanka as well.
Okay. The important thing of implementing such a system is to reduce your NPLs, right? So in terms of results, can you talk about how it has helped some of your clients?
So I think from a result standpoint, different banks have seen different results. So the one common base has been everybody has seen improvement in NPAs. So anywhere from 20 to 30% of the NPAs, they have seen it coming down over a period of time. And right now we are talking about this system being available for 3 or 4 years, depending on when the bank has gone for this. And as they start using the system for a longer period of time, then the results are going to be much more. And what we do is, before we sign up with the bank, we do a thorough assessment of where the bank is. what are the broad objectives for the bank, because each bank has their own NPA reduction targets. We have a discussion with them, we look at what is required, and because this is developed with open architecture, it helps us to kind of customize the solution depending on how the bank needs it.
Okay. How do you create a proposition for Sri Lankan banks given the challenges that we have now currently with the economic crisis?
I think the way in which we look at the economic crisis today in Sri Lanka is sometimes you need a crisis to go for the right solutions, right? So it's an opportunity than a problem. That's the way we look at it. So considering that this is an opportunity, what we believe is required for banks or any large enterprise is visibility of data, because the data is already there and the data is always rich. You need a system which could actually bring in data from multiple systems, put it together and bring it in a form that is actually visible for the leadership. And that is exactly what this system does. So whether it is India or Sri Lanka, and especially considering what is happening in Sri Lanka, I think this is going to be of tremendous help. That is the belief that we have.
Okay. Given the challenges that Sri Lanka has, especially for the government to run down their costs, how will your e-governance system help a country like Sri Lanka?
So I think from a cost perspective, the good part about this solution itself is it's available in two different models. So one is the on-prem model, which we call as the on-premise model. That is how most of the banks in India have actually taken up this system. But the system is also available on a SaaS basis, right? Where it's more of a OPEX than the CAPEX. So I think from in terms of understanding the cost parameters and in terms of understanding what will be the requirement for these banks, we can probably stitch in a model that would be suitable from an economic standpoint as well.
Okay. My final question to you is, you operate in the US, you have a lot of experience in India. What will the banking look like, say, by 2030?
I think we are moving towards neobanks, where we are talking about virtual banking. So the expectation is that probably in 2030 or 2040, we will probably have about 20% of the retail branches that is today. So most of the business that we do on the retail banking side will move virtual. And so we are also gearing up to provide the right kind of solutions for neobanking customers.
Thank you, Sri. It was great talking to you. Good luck with your efforts in Sri Lanka. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Dinesh. Thanks for the opportunity.